Hello everyone, my name is ARUNGIRI and today I'm going to talk about the one of the machine learning project that I have worked on, and this was assigned as the part of the project, and I took the machine learning for social science courses in my third semester, and as part of the project we are working on this project, and each students were assigned to work with a different project, and I have chosen to work on the forecasting system of the fair in the New York City using a machine learning. And the main reason for using the New York City is New York City has always been the one of the most busiest city in the world, and I thought that I could actually use the concept of the machine learning and the machine learning algorithms in the New York, and I could have much more biased and the valid data. So yeah, and okay, so for that, and talking about the introduction, uh, the planet we live in has been really busy. Around this 10 or 15 years, the population has started to increase exponentially, and then people move from one place to another for their personal walks and many other related reasons. There are also many transportation systems such as the auto, airplanes, and buses. But for this specific project, we are just considering the New York City, and we are just considering how the fares in the New York City for the taxi fares have changed. So for this project, we are just considering the taxi, and because of the new computing technologies, machine learning today is not like the machine learning we used to encounter in the past, and it has become highly advanced. Machine learning has been used in different fields like the hospitals, medicals. So machine learning is having a really good future, and it has a really great capability. Uh, it was born from the pattern recognition and the theory that computers can learn without being programmed to perform specific tasks. Researchers are also interested in artificial intelligence, wanted to see computers could learn from the data. Basically, machine learning is something, you train the computers by providing the specific data, and then you expect that the machine learn from that data, and then when you test, then they will be able to give you a confirmed decision based on the way you have taught by giving a data. So the iterative aspect of the machine learning is important because as models are exposed to the new data, they can independently adapt. So they learn from the previous computation, as I previously said, to produce the reliable, repeatable decisions and results. It's a science that is not new, but one that has gained fresh momentum, and I believe that machine learning has a really bright future ahead. Machine learning can solve different kinds of problems, such as the supervised data problems, unsupervised, and the reinforcement type problems. Yeah. So yeah, now talking about the problem and hypothesis of the project that I'm working on, and as I said, my data set is taken from the New York. So New York City is one of the largest subway systems in the world and comprises various green and yellow cabs, which approximately count for around 13,000 taxis. Most of the population of the New York depend upon public transports, and it has been estimated that 54% of the people do not own a car or a personal vehicle. As a matter of fact, it accounts for almost 200 million taxi trips per year. Using a machine learning and a direct application of machine learning algorithms, we can predict how the taxi fares in the New York City had changed over the period of the time, and what can be the factor that causes the fares to increase or decrease. With this, we can also predict when the fares in the city tend to increase rapidly or decrease rapidly, and we can make an informed decision based on this prediction. So so using a machine learning, we can actually find out the pattern how the fares in the New York City has been decreasing and increasing, and then if we are able to find the pattern, we can actually implement the machine learning. We can feed the data to the machine learning, and machine learning can will be able to predict how when the price might increase or price might decrease. So that is what we are trying to do, and if we are able to do that, then I think that would be really great if you could know, so what are the factors that might affect, or what are the factors that are responsible for increasement or decreasement of the fares in the New York City. So yeah, and as you can see in the graph, I've collected a graph which shows how the fares in the New York City from 1945 to around 2000. change has been. So as you can see, as we start from 1945, so there is a slight increasement in the cost. So I think in 1945 the cost was around $9, and by the 1950 I think it was $11. So we can assume that it was around there was an increasement in $2. And again, as you can see from there is a decrement in the price. So you can see between 1965 and 1980 there is a very rise increment, like from $11 the price goes to $14, and again it decreases. So as you can see, sorry for that, as you can see that there is always a decreasement and the increment in the price. And we can assume that there might be many other factors responsible for how this prices changes. For example, we can take an example of the economic depression. In the economic depression, like the natural causes like this can actually contribute to the very different behavior of this graph, like how the prices changes. So this is one of the example how the prices have been changing, and as you can see from around 2000 the prices has always been increasing. There is no decrement in the price, and I also believe that in the future there will always be an increment in the price, and I'm not sure if there will be a decrement in the prices, as you can see from the data. And this is where machine learning is so useful. We fed the data to the machine learning, and with the prediction, it will be able to find out when it might decrease or when it might increase. So that's a really good idea to work on, and I'm also really interested in machine learning. And talking about the models that I'm using in this project, I will be using the different components and the algorithms of the machine learning for this project. And specifically, I'm using the three models that are decision tree, k-nearest, sorry for that, decision tree, k-nearest neighbor, and the random forest classifier. And these are all the different types of models of the machine learning that would help us to find out the conclusion or help us to come to a real idea, so a real result. So yeah, and so I'm also talking about the conclusion. And in this project, as I said, I use machine learning algorithms to predict how has the fare in the New York City changed over a period of time. And as I said, I've used three machine learning algorithms: k-nearest classifier, decision tree, and the random forest classifier. And they have been plotted to find the percentage. Sorry, I have also varied the provided parameters across all the model available to improve the scores, and at the end we were able to find that the random classifier was able to achieve the highest score with the 81.23%. So yeah, we can actually trust on random classifier because it has the highest percentage as compared to the tree classifier and the k-neighbors classifier. And I also want to talk about the future work, because so when we took out the data at this point of the time, we did not take the consideration of like the location. For example, in New York City itself, if one of the people goes from one place to another place, then I think the place also really depends upon, like in the busiest area, if you travel, then the price might increase. And if you and within the New York City, if you travel from place to place that isn't as busy as compared to other places, then the price might be lower as compared to other places, and we haven't considered those things. So in the future, we can also actually take consideration of the places within the New York City and make this prediction much more preciseness. And so as I said, we can increase the accuracy of the prediction by considering more variables, as I said. And we should also consider the pickup and the drop off location, because they are highly responsible for changing the fares in the different places. And this further distance could be taken both by analyzing larger sets of data to infer relationship and effects of location and traffic at different times, as well as aggregation with other data sets as data and traffic, speed limitation, and etc. So as a whole, what I would try to say is we should also take consideration to other variables that might be responsible for increasement or decreasement or change in the fear of the New York City. So in the future, we can implement to make our model much better predictor. So this was a brief discussion about the project that I worked on. And Yeah, so I also want to show you the code that I have worked on. So okay, so yeah, as you can see, so these are all the codes that I have worked on, and let me tell you about a little bit of this. So I have imported. So this is how the machine learning works, and I have imported some of the libraries for this project, like the NumPy and the Pandas and Matplotlib. So this is all the libraries that I have imported, and as you can see, my data set taxi.csv, and so these are all the data visualization that we can use. Like this is one of the example, like correlation matrix, and as you can see, like the heat maps, like we can also find the sensitivity, like as you can see from here, you can find the true negative rate. Let me show you. Yeah, and so you can find the true negative rates, false positive rate, false negative, and true positive rate. So these are all the things that I've worked on, and the code, we have also written the code for this part of the project. Yeah, and we have also worked on the ROC curve. As you can see, how the ROC curve has changed, and I've also worked on the clustering data, and so these are all the graphs for the random classifiers and the random classifiers, random forest. Yeah, and so these were all the code that I've worked on, and apart from that, I want you to look to my real paper, the project paper I worked on. So yeah, so this is the final paper I have worked on. So I've written about the abstract. I think abstract is a really important feature in any other paper. I've also given a brief introduction of how the work is going on, and I've also talked about the related work, problem and hypothesis. And in the problem and hypothesis, I have tried to I've tried to implement this scrap and explain how is it working. And in the design, I have, as you saw from the previous code and the graphs, I've extracted all those scraps and put it into this file, or the final research paper. So yeah, it was a good experience to work. And then apart from that, so these are all the resources that I have took help of, to write this research paper. So overall, it was a good experience for me. And as I said, it was my first machine learning experience, and I had an opportunity to learn a lot. And in the future, I also want to involve in other machine learning projects. And it was a good experience for me. Yeah. And I hope you guys liked about the work, and let me know if you have any question.